Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide, Volume 3. And today I have the amazing Nadia with us. Hello, Nadia, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. And yourself?
I'm really well. Thank you for asking. A little bit cold, a little bit worn out, but I'm getting there. Thank you. And yourself?
And yes, similar. Berlin is not that warm right now.
I'm feeling you on that one. I need some sunshine. So, Nadia, tell the viewers about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and a little bit about your background.
My name is Nadia Says. I'm the founder of Your Mom's Agency and the co-founder of DIF. It's an NGO that we are creating at the moment with 6 other people that aims at fighting discrimination in the cultural industry, but mostly the music industry. And for now, we will focus on Berlin, and then we hope to expand in the future. We are in the process of doing the registration, so it's a lot of admin. I'm learning a lot,
Imagine.
but I look forward to starting the real work as soon as possible. And with Your Mom's Agency, it's, let's say, a platform for creative freelancers
Yeah.
where people can come with their artistic project and we give support as we can. Very often, the support that's needed is just to be online and have a logo and look serious so your clients take you seriously.
Yeah.
Uh, that's actually why we funded this platform at the very beginning,
Okay.
kind of getting paid in time. And suddenly, when you have a logo and a website, yeah, people pay you.
And
So
it's professional, isn't it? It gives you that professional look and that approach.
exactly, that was the goal. And now it's been running for over 10 years. Uh,
Congratulations.
with, yeah, with different activities, a little bit of booking, PR, promotion, events. And what I've been doing this past 4 years the most is events in the field of music tech. So it could be conferences, workshops, marketing events, marketing campaigns, online or on site.
Wow, impressive. And Nadia, tell the viewers a little bit more about your background yourself and where you're from originally, where you are now, because that also plays a part of your story.
Oh, it definitely does. So I was born in France, and that's where I got my education. I was very lucky that, we have free schools in France. I got great education. My mother is Roma and Sephardic,
Yeah.
and she was born in Algeria at the time that Algeria was French because Roma people were chased away from Spain. So they took refuge wherever they could. And then when there was the war in Algeria, Roma people could not go to Spain because Franco was still there. And so they came to France. So that's how my mother became French, by passport at least, and by culture. And my father is Syrian. So I have never been to Syria. It's not so easy to get there, especially if you then want to travel to the US.
Yeah.
But I have had the chance to have projects in Lebanon where I could meet my family. It was great to meet my family as an adult. I had never, seen them in the flesh, and also to get a part of my father's culture. And I don't necessarily see myself in that culture, but I appreciate it, and I appreciate to know where my genes are from.
Yeah, where you're from, where your culture is, where your heritage lays. And that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that must have come with so many challenges and barriers, being multiracial, your identity, moving different countries, and also working in music. So how has that impacted you? How has that made you feel, and how has that affected your career in the music industry?
I did not start to work right away in the music industry. When I was younger, I wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
And I could not afford to go to a good journalism school.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to get a degree and then I will figure it out later. So that's what I did, got a degree. And then my university said, okay, you can go teach French in the US. And I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. So that's what I did. And I was so lucky to be sent to Mills College, liberal arts college in Auckland. They do not exist anymore, but it was a fantastic place to meet feminists that were very different from the feminists in France. So that really broadened my horizons. And after that, I moved to Tokyo, where I kept on teaching French. But at the same time, I started to throw events, techno events, for fun, not in a professional manner. Then I moved to London because I tried to go to France, but with an Arabic last name, it's actually very difficult, or it was, to find a place to live and a job. So I was like, okay, whatever, I go to London, they are more open-minded there. And it was the right move. I did lots of jobs, including being an accountant for a while. This was not fun. And finally, I started working at Cool Bar. I guess it still exists in London. So I worked there. I worked a little bit at Heaven as well.
Yeah, still
And
there.
yeah, this was so much fun. And then I moved to The End. So The End no longer exists, but I was part of the door and bar team there for a while.
Fantastic.
Then while working the door, I was to work in a fashion magazine. And so, yeah, I did that for a while. Then it was the print magazine crisis. Lost my job, was penniless, came to Berlin because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And I was depressed for a little while, didn't know what to do. And I was going clubbing a lot. And I was like, there you go. I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm so good at it.
What a journey, how inspirational as well. And it's kind of funny how when we navigate our careers in this industry, how they're multifaceted and they've got so many different kind of layers to them, and they're different in different ways and different skills, because I think sometimes it's about finding who we are, what we enjoy, and also getting those skills to where we need to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, some people have very defined ideas of what they want to do when they're 12 years old or something. And then some people, maybe you have this idea, but you're like, I don't actually have the financial or logistics means to achieve it. So I'm going to explore and see where people want me, and hopefully I want them back, and we can do something together.
And where you fit in as well, right? And what you've got to offer and bring to the table. Because, like you said, I think it's also about finding what you're good at and where your strongest skills lay, right? And doing that the best you can.
Yes, and I think the reason I find my place in the music industry is, first off, it's, although it's not perfect, it's way more open-minded than many other industries.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it's okay to be a woman, it's okay to be queer, it's okay not to be white, it's okay to word strong opinions, etc. And the other thing is, you know, as I said, I was an accountant for a little while. I have this admin organizational side that many artists do not have.
Yeah.
So we can complement each other quite nicely.
Yeah, they do. Do you have a musical education at all? And have you done anything in the music side?
No. So when you're 12 in France, you learn to play the recorder. And I was dreadful. My mother asked me not to play in the house. And my cat would run under the bed. So I was like, okay, I guess it's not my thing. During the lockdowns, I started to put together mixtapes.
Okay.
And these have been around on a few radio stations. And I hope to do it again when I have time. But in terms of DJing live at a club, I've done it a couple of times and I found it too stressful. I prefer to be on the dance floor.
Fair enough. You prefer to be having a good time and making other people enjoy themselves and have a good time.
Yes.
I used to work at a bar, and I totally understand how that feels. I remember I used to work at a bar at a nightclub for a little while when I left school. And everyone else was having a great time. They were all enjoying themselves, dancing. And I was stood there behind the bar putting these drinks, and you couldn't drink, you couldn't dance, you couldn't have a good time. And people were still offering to buy you a drink. And I was like, but I'm not allowed to because I'm at work. You know, and it's just, I just want to have a good time. Like everybody else.
Yeah, actually, once I was working the cloakroom at Heaven, and it was this drum and bass night called Hospitality.
Yes.
And I just told my boss, I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to work tonight. Can I go dance? And my boss was like, you know what? Yes, you can.
What a cool boss. Oh, lovely. That's nice. I wish I had a boss like that. You know, I wish I had one like that, but I didn't have that. So I just had to crack on and get on with it. So yeah, how kind of what challenges and barriers have you faced accessing the music industry, and how have you kind of had to navigate that as well? Like what have the biggest challenges been to you today, and How's that kind of impacted your career?
I think the biggest challenge is when you go in this industry with your eyes open and you see things and then you call things out,
Yeah.
people don't like it. So, you know, if you're the kind of person who's like, "Ooh, diversity is like a rainbow. Let's all be united colors of Benetton together." People will love you for that. And then if you're like, "No, I'm not going to do tokenism,"
Mhm.
then people get upset. So I have lost jobs, I have lost clients, I have lost opportunities. People have said to my face that they were firing me because of that. So, you know, sometimes you're not sure, and then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, then thank you for your honesty. But it's been worth it. I would not do anything differently because for every bridge I've burned, there's a new door that's open. And anyway, do you really want to work with people who are racist or sexist? No, you don't.
I think that's a great thing that you just said there. And it's about aligning your values and goals with the same organizations and people that you're working with. Otherwise, what's the point? Because it's just like working with people for the sake of working with them rather than aligning your mission to get that impact that you really need to make change. Because I think that's what we all do, right? We met on Key Change. So we really are about driving that change and ensuring that we see more gender equality across the music industry internationally. So once you've kind of realized that in different countries it's different political spectrums, different cultures and religions come into play, how does that impact the diversity and inclusion, do you think, in different countries?
A lot.
Mhm.
So when I was in Japan, it was a long time ago, like 20 years. So I guess things have changed. But back then, people did not know what feminism was.
Right.
So I held a class about feminism, and people were a bit wondering, is she saying dirty things? She's talking about feminism. And then we had to go through the basics. For example, who should carry the heavy suitcase? You know,
Simply
and,
women.
and so, yeah, so obviously feminism cannot be the same in Japan as in France because the sexual revolution did not happen in the same way in Japan as it did in France.
Yeah.
In the UK, the immigration policy is very different. It's a melting pot immigration policy. In France, it's assimilation
Mhm.
immigration policy. So diversity cannot be the same. In France, we don't say I'm, for example, Portuguese French. You just French, and the French government say you are French, and end of the story. So it doesn't mean racism does not exist, but it means the basis of living in France is that you have to be French. Whereas in the UK, it's like, yeah, I'm this and I'm British as well.
You and we've had this discussion as well about France and collecting data around your kind of race and discrimination and stuff like that. You're not allowed to do that in France, are you?
It's pretty much the same in the whole of mainland Europe.
Right.
So they say because we do not want to discriminate, we do not ask these questions. And it's like, if things were perfect, you'd be right. But sexism, racism, and everything is here. So
Yeah.
we do have to address it. And it's not going to just go away because you sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah, totally true. I totally agree with you on that one. And the more we talk about these things, the more we share this information as well and understand that it's a country by country basis and everywhere's different. And that's something that I've learned being on Key Changes. We've got all these different countries with different political systems and cultures that actually some are way more accepting and including than some of the others. And it's not actually a fault of the system, sometimes it's the cultural thing. And it's the thing about collecting that data and understanding what those numbers are as well. So that's been really interesting. What do you think the kind of views are at the moment of where you are in Berlin around equality, diversity, and also the gender inclusion? How do you think that's going at the moment?
Gender inclusion, I believe in Berlin, or at least I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect. There's still some work to do, but I can't complain too much about this.
Yeah.
Racism is a very different issue.
Mhm.
Uh, White women and racialized women are not dealt the same hand in Berlin, that's for sure.
Okay.
And you know, with what's happening in the world at the moment, Berlin is very polarized. You can get fined, you can lose a job because you post something on Instagram.
Okay.
A couple of days ago, a photographer of Muslim confession had his show cancelled because his pictures picture Muslim people. And at the moment, this is considered too political, too dangerous.
Okay. So if you speak out of line, then you look at losing your job and not able to get work, and especially from an immigrant background as well, that must be even worse. So it's even harder if you want to speak out and have change, and you're from an underrepresented group. Do you fear that if you do speak out and speak the truth, that you're going to lose all that stuff that you've worked so hard for?
I have seen people doing it. And about 5, 6 years ago, I was pretty active on that side of things. There was something in Berlin going on between the BDS and the music board. And my point of view was that everybody was entitled to their opinion, but nobody was allowed to threaten other people with their opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think this is an extreme position. I think this is a very mild position. However, some people viewed me as a danger, and there were several hacking attacks on all my accounts.
Okay.
I received some very strange emails as well. Yeah.
And I know you're not like that at all. You're very kind, you're very caring, you're very considerate, and you're very inclusive too. So I know that's not true. And I think this is another thing that females face, especially in the music industry, is when you're assertive or you're different, sometimes you're seen as aggressive or it's not acceptable. And especially here in the UK, I've seen that many times where women speak up or they speak out or they stand up for change. They're not accepted as a man would be. They're not seen as a powerful man. They're not seen as powerful. They're seen as more of a hindrance or someone that's actually, a danger or a threat. And I think that's really sad too.
It is, and I've seen it. So I've seen it with myself, but also with other people. For example, I used to work with this woman. She's Black, she's American,
Yeah.
she's bigger in size, and she is a very friendly person.
Yeah.
And once I booked her in a club as a DJ, and something was not working with the mixer or something. So she asked the sound person to look at it. And I saw this happening. The sound person told her, "Can you stop being aggressive?" And both her and I, we looked at each other, we were like, what just happened right now? It was really insane.
Right. And
But it happens all the time.
yeah, that's something that I've paid attention to and I've noticed myself. And I'm just like, I don't think that's fair, especially on people that are trying to drive a change or trying to speak up and say that this isn't okay, that sometimes it's seen as not okay to speak up. I think we need to do more to address that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, what is speaking up? Asking the tech person to fix the mixer is not even speaking up. Asking for peace, I don't call that speaking up. It's a very basic human right to ask for peace and to get peace.
mm,
So yeah, what people see as speaking up, again, it depends. If you're a man and you say, "Oh, I love peace," people are like, "Oh, that's fantastic. He's so enlightened." And then when it's a woman, somehow it's aggressive or
yeah,
stupid, depending on how people perceive you.
yeah, totally agree with you on that. Let's try and change that in the future. I think that's something we definitely need to address, and having those discussions. So kind of what are your feelings and thoughts on equality, diversity, inclusion at the moment in the music industry?
Overall, I'm happy people are talking about it. I think with the lockdowns, there was a setback.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of a step forward thanks to BLM, but I feel that's already been forgotten by the mainstream.
Yeah.
And women and gender diverse people in France, we have lost 150 years to reach equal salary.
Wow.
And that's the number that was calculated in France, but my guess is that it's similar everywhere.
Yeah.
So we got dealt a very bad hand with the lockdowns. And even though we're talking about things, I wonder if things are really happening in terms of numbers. So yes, we do see more female faces in the industry, but they are very often white, young, pretty, heteronormative, So where are the other women and gender diverse people? And also very often they are middle class.
Yes.
And also, where is the money going? I have to wonder if it's still going in the same pockets, or is it going to new pockets. I would like to see studies on that. And when we do look at the studies that exist, because it needs a few 2-3 years to collect data, yeah. So you always have the data of 2-3 years before. The numbers are not good.
We know that, and I think that's another thing we need to work on. But it's also about having the numbers on an international basis where we can share those numbers across the communities and also figure out the intersectional data as well. Because I think, like we said before, is okay, we might face 1 or 2 challenges, but when we're facing 5 or 6, we might be in a certain country from certain backgrounds, that makes it 10 times harder to succeed, or 10 times harder to even be on the starting line where most people start. So also understanding that and making it more equitable, so people are starting on that same starting line rather than starting 10 steps behind, is really, really important for me to see in the future.
Yes. To people who say that it's only talent that matters, first I want to laugh, and then I want to say, excuse me, how does someone express their talent when they don't even have access to internet?
Right, exactly. And this is a thing a lot of people face now is and it's poverty. And a lot of people don't talk about class. Even here in the UK, we talk about intersectional data and we talk about race, we talk about gender. But a lot of the time, we're not talking about the real things of upbringing, class, support, background, education, all of those things, even having someone who might be working in the industry, a parent that can get that foot in the door, makes so much of a difference to someone like me or you that didn't have that have to literally step by step, literally claw away and get to that position, of just getting through the door, just getting that one, okay, you can have an interview now. And I think that could be very demoralizing as well to communities that are different. And we also need to see ourselves in positions so we can feel included, accepted, and to have that kind of representation and visibility. So Nadia, please keep doing the work you do. You do a fantastic job. You're not just doing it in Europe, you're also doing it in the US as well, I know. So you have a great network and you're doing great things, and you're very positive with the work you do. Has it kind of affected you and your own mental health and the way you feel about yourself?
Oh, so my my shrink would tell you it's not the best way, but the way I do things is I separate them.
Yeah,
So I can have maybe 10 minutes a day to feel sorry for myself, and the rest I work, because as you said, it's definitely not easy, and you face a lot of rejection, a lot of unfairness, and if you dwell on it, it's not going to get you anywhere. So I allow myself some time to think about it and be like, whoa, that sucks, this is not good, poor me. And then I'm like, okay, now time to work. And I think the biggest victory against all these people that want to put barriers in front of us is to be like, you know what, you can do all you want, tomorrow I still be there.
that's amazing. Oh, that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And I think that's something we all need to remember. It's not easy. It's sometimes very, very difficult. And there's so many different challenges and obstacles to overcome, but it's about staying true to yourself, being passionate and following your heart. And I think, a lot of the things that keep me going is I'm trying to do something positive. I'm trying to help others and I'm trying to build community at the same time. And I think sometimes you are going to meet resistance. You are going to come up against people that don't like change, that are scared of change. But at the same time, we need to represent those voices that are unheard. We need to listen to communities that are not seen. And we need to represent everyone as a collective rather than just the majority, as it always has been in the past. So I think we are working towards that. We are getting there. But it is a slow process, and people need to remember that change is happening.
It is happening. And also to all the people who are resistant to this change, I want to tell them that it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
It will benefit everybody, including them.
exactly.
For example, people think, oh, feminism is only for women. Not at all. Feminism is for
Right.
people of all genders. It
Right.
will also help cis men because they will have less pressure. They will not have to perform in this really competitive way all the time, etc., etc. So diversity, inclusion, equity it actually benefits absolutely everybody.
I totally agree with you. Thank you. And what do you think kind of age and cultural differences also have an impact on diversity, inclusion, and equity, and also where you are, whether it be in Europe or the US or the UK, do you think those things have an impact as well on the change of how far we can go and what we can do?
In terms of age, I'm going to be a bit crude here. I don't think it's about age. I think it's about how you look. If you look young, people don't think about it twice. They think, okay, this person is young, and then they treat you as young. And
Okay.
then maybe you are actually not old, but maybe the sun has not been so kind to your skin, so you look older. And then people will, treat you like, oh, this person is already on her way out. So it's not really about age on the paper. It's about how you look, which is as unfair, and I don't even have a solution for this, because it's, sexism, racism, this is something that you can explain to people, you can pinpoint it, but age is more elusive, I feel.
And I think the trans topic also fits in with that as well. Sometimes it can be embedded with the gender thing, and then sometimes it can be a bit elusive too, because even with those kind of indirect discriminations or those microaggressions, or, I think sometimes that it's a little bit harder to point out when those things are happening, because again, age is one of those things where it might be a look thing. It might not even be your age, like you said. Even when people look at me, they don't think I'm the age that I am. And I think sometimes it's about presenting a certain way, looking a certain way, acting a certain way, because I'm quite a big child, a big teenager in my heart. You know what I mean? So I think those things come across as well. But I think you're right. And when I'm talking about age in general, I'm talking about the inclusion of different genders and different kind of cultures, not necessarily the way you look, but the mindset of, okay, is it acceptable to be from this community, or is it acceptable to be trans? Is it acceptable to be from a certain religion? So do you think that has an impact on the diversity and inclusion that we've got to right now?
Yes. So you were saying that in the UK, people are okay to talk about race and gender, for example.
Yeah.
In Europe, gender is okay, race is still taboo. And the rest, I mean, class is, I don't know, when you say to someone working class, they look at you like, oh, are you from the 60s or something? No, 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 it's still a thing.
Yeah, certainly.
Um, or also body type, people like, oh, am I allowed to talk about body type? Yes, please do talk about body type, because it's really an issue. We are an industry where everybody has to be on Instagram, and
Yeah.
some people don't necessarily want to show off their body or to show skin. They shouldn't have to. And
Mhm.
also, if they do, they shouldn't be judged for it.
Or shamed or named, or, and I think that's another
Yeah.
thing we have. Yeah, that's right. Especially for females, actually, you don't really get that so much for men, but more so for females. There has to be a certain way, a look, that sexualization, objectification that happens, again, making it harder for women to succeed, especially if they're not a certain way, they don't look a certain way. I think that's another important point you make, um, which is really a shame. Have you ever suffered from discrimination and stigma in the music industry? And if so, what have you suffered?
Uh, yes. I mean, as I said, there was this person I worked for who looked at me and said, if you keep talking about discrimination, I will not hire you again. And he put the threat to execution. Actually, I did not work for that company anymore, although I was supposed to keep on working for them.
Right.
And frankly, I think they really needed me. But yeah, and this person did not dislike me because, so it was not like, oh, I fire you because you are a queer woman or working class woman or whatever. It was not like this. It was the things you have to say, I cannot hear them because they're coming from you. If they come from a cis white man, I may be ready to hear them. But when it's you saying them, you're hurting my feelings and my ego. And therefore, I have to let you go.
Wow. Wow. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That's not nice. And again, that's very misogynistic. I'm so sorry that you've had to experience that and not been taken seriously and not felt heard and listened to or appreciated. So what kind of happened? Did you just leave?
Oh, I made a lot of noise. There's an article in Mix Mag, and I got compensation not only for myself, but also for 3 other people that were discriminated against in the same company.
Well done for speaking up and standing up, and for doing something not just for yourself, but to ensure that that doesn't happen again. Well done, Nadia. We need more people to do that, and I think that's very inspirational. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
And Nadia,
problem.
if people want to find you, if they want to contact you, if they want to find out more about the work you do, how can people find you, connect with you, and find out a little bit more about your interviews and your stories?
So yourmomsagency.com, mom with an O, and DIF, so DIF, okay, that one is a bit complicated, DIFEV.org. But if you go on the website of Your Mom's Agency, you will find it. And also Nadia Says, like Simon Says, Nadia Says, you can find my articles online and interviews and things like this.
Thank you. And I will leave all of your information in the description below, obviously, in your bio. And is there any more up and coming events or programs or anything you would like to share with the viewers before you leave us tonight?
So the next event is a free music workshop in Los Angeles. So we will learn how to compose music, how to produce electronic music. We will also discuss about diversity in music marketing. Yep. And then after this, I will be at NAMM in Los Angeles. It's this conference for music tech. So if listeners are there, please come say hi. And otherwise, I've been dabbling a little bit in the world of NFTs. It is not a dirty word. It is sustainable. It is helping artists. And you can find our latest compilation on the Guzzu platform, Guzzu.
Thank you. And in my previous interview just before that, I was speaking with Russell Bundy from Madbop, who's also doing NFTs for females and underrepresented groups. And it's another great way of diversifying your income stream and reaching new audiences. So I'm definitely all for that. So thank you for sharing that, Nadia. Thank you for coming along tonight, sharing your views, being you. And it's been super fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story, and can't wait to see
Thank
you.
you for, yeah, I wanted to say thank you for having me, but also thank you for all your work. You said I'm inspiring, but you are inspiring as well. It's, when I see your post on Instagram, it makes my day a little bit better. I'm like, okay, we're all in this together and it's moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And likewise, it's nice to know that there's like-minded creatives out there doing the same work as me and we're on the same page. So keep doing the amazing work you do. And thank you again. We'll speak soon, Nadia. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Saskia.
Bye. Where's that one? I'm going to go.